NFL Christmas Day best bets. On NFL, we are blessed with two games, and hopefully we can make you guys some money. We'll talk about both these two games. I have a pick for each of them. The first one will be the Chiefs on the road taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. The second one, the Ravens taking on the Houston Texans. Like I said, I have a player prop for each of these. I'll talk about who I would lean towards the spread, money line, over, unders, and everything in between. If you are new, I appreciate you guys for tuning in. My name's Austin. Merry Christmas to everyone out there. Right before this video, I posted a video with every single NBA pick. We have one for every single game. Normally the NBA dominates Christmas Day, but the NFL said, hey, we want some of the action. So they came on in and got some games in here on Netflix. So either way, go check out the NBA video. I'll link it down below. NBA, we've been crushing it over the last week or two, really all season long. Hopefully we can go 5-0 there, go 2-0 here. But as always, we begin first with a recap of how we did the week prior. We normally don't get Wednesday games. An all right week for us. We were technically profitable. We started off terrible. Thursday going 0-2. Bounced back with a 2-0 Saturday. Sunday we went 4-2. And then Monday Night Football, a disgusting game between the Saints and Packers, and 0-1 day. Just nothing went right there. I'm not too worried about it. Sure, we're negative on the year. We're going to turn that around with the Christmas Day miracle and hopefully a 2-0 day. I have two props. That's all I'm going to talk about. And then I'll talk about my spread and lean on the over, under, or the spread in terms of who I think wins. These are two good games. At least I expect them to be. And we're going to dive into the first one where we have the Chiefs on the road taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. My favorite prop in this game is actually going to be Pat Freiermuth. I really like his over 28.5 receiving yards, minus 110 on Bet365. You can see it scrolling down below at the bottom. Why do I like Pat here? Now, obviously, Pat Freiermuth's been up and down, and I think this is a game where he's gone down 2 weeks in a row. I think this is a big spike week for him. Now, George Pickens is scheduled to return for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and while that sure will take some targets away from Pat Freiermuth, I also think it opens up the middle of the field. Without him in there, is really Calvin Austin. And that's about it. They really didn't have any explosive playmakers, so defenses kind of just sit on all the routes and not really expect anyone to go past them. It's not the case with George Pickens here against the Chiefs. Now, obviously, if you have to talk about the Chiefs, you need to talk about how bad they have been against tight ends. You look at them so far this season. The second most receptions and the most receiving yards allowed to the tight end position. They've really, really struggled. And while Pat Freiermuth hasn't necessarily gone over in every game with Russell Wilson, he still is over in 4 of 9. He has 3+ receptions in 5 straight. And as I said, he's under in 2 straight. Tougher matchups against the Eagles and the Baltimore Ravens. But you look at his receptions lines in at 3.5, about minus 170, minus 180. So they're really confident he gets 3 receptions this season. 14 tight ends have had 3 or more receptions against this defense of the Chiefs. All 14 had 28 or more yards. 13 of 14 had 30 plus. One guy ended with 28 on the dot. I think that was Drew Sample, and he had 2 teammates that were tight ends that also hit the over. So again, I'm not too worried about it here. Pat Freiermuth should be running a bunch of routes. Very hard to run on the Chiefs. Should see them throwing a good amount, and I really think Pat Freiermuth could have 2 big receptions. One where he gets like 2 15-yard receptions. Boom, we're over this over 28.5 receiving yards. I really like this spot for Pat Freiermuth. Now, in terms of the spread, where would I lean? I kind of lean the Steelers plus the 3. I don't know if I'll personally bet it, but hey, you get Mike Tomlin as a home underdog. You always got to take a chance on it. But I have a rule, and that's not betting against Patrick Mahomes, which is why I probably won't bet on it. Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs find ways. There's a reason I didn't do any props on their team, because Marquise Hollywood Brown returned last week. He got like 8 targets. I don't really know what they're doing with the rushing attack. You would think when you got TJ Watt on the other side that maybe you'd run it a little bit more. And we saw the Ravens run all over the Steelers last week with Derrick Henry. So maybe you see them run it more, but Pacheco and Kareem Hunt aren't giving them a lot. So you see a lot of quick throws, which is why if I were to target any Chiefs, it would be for over in receptions, because they have Patrick Mahomes throwing it left and right instead of running it on first down as like quick dump short throws. So the wide receivers pick up a couple yards, keep things moving. So I don't really have a great lean. I would lean the Steelers plus the 3. My favorite pick though is Pat Freiermuth's over in receiving yards. I think that is a winner. Before I dive into the second game, I do want to know if you ever need any sportsbook sign-up bonuses or daily fantasy matches and things of that nature. All that stuff is down below. Appreciate everyone that uses those codes for Sleeper, code COS, PrizePicks. They have a free square for I think Nikola Jokic to get 1 point in the NBA, everything in between. So go check out those codes, code COS, or the links down below. Again, appreciate everyone that has used those this year. Now let's talk about the second game where the Ravens are on the road taking on the Texans. Now I have a pick that I know a lot of you guys won't like, and I'll talk about a couple other props that I looked at. Ultimately, I came down to this one is my most confident one, and it could make me look like an idiot because it is Derrick Henry under 91.5 rushing yards, minus 113 on FanDuel. Now, you've seen us over the past few weeks. We've taken some overs, some high overs. We took Saquon Barkley against the Panthers. We had, last week, Jahmyr Gibbs over in rush yards. It's hard to get 91 yards. I know those guys have made it look easy, but it's not easy to get to 92 rush yards. I mean, you have to have game script go your way. you got to also break a pretty long run, which Derrick Henry is obviously capable of doing. And you also really just need the attempts. If you see some defensive touchdowns, or maybe a team's just not getting the ball, not converting on third down, it can be a tough spot. And I like fading Derrick Henry here. Now, obviously, it's Christmas Day. We might need a miracle to cash this one. And if you were to look at Derrick Henry's history against the Texans, you'd be like, Austin, why the heck are we fading this guy? He had 200 plus rushing yards, like 4 straight games against them. However, that was a different regime with the Texans. If you look at how he did last year against them, obviously he has a lot of familiarity with the Texans. Last year, 2 games against D'Amico Ryan's defense. How'd he do? 1 game, 16 carries, 9 yards. No, not a typo. 16 carries, only 9 yards, less than 1 yard per carry. The other one, 12 carries for 42 yards. Now, obviously, much easier to game plan for Derrick Henry when he was a member of the Titans than it is a member of the Ravens, who have a bunch of other playmakers. However, he's the head of the snake. If you're going to stop this Ravens offense, it has to stop with stopping the run. And Derrick Henry, easier said than done. But I expect D'Amico Ryans and that defense to be ready to go. We've seen since week 6, this team is allowing 4 yards per carry. I mean, they have been a dominant rush defense. In fact, 3.9 yards per carry, 4th fewest in the NFL. Now, only 3 players this season have hit this over against the Texans. They were Tony Pollard, they were Jonathan Taylor, and they were Aaron Jones. So tip your cap to those 3 guys. They both got the job. All 3 got the job done. They all averaged over 5 yards per carry. So again, they ran the ball well. And Derrick Henry's averaging over 5 yards per carry this season. I just don't love this matchup for him. I like the Texans. They're down Tank Dell. If I'm their offense, my goal is just to try to convert third downs, keep the Ravens offense off the field, make this a slower playing game. And I think if they can do that, I feel like they'd be in a pretty good spot to win this one. They're not so good. They're not going to avoid the run with Joe Mixon. They'll still run the football. And I expect them to chew the clock. We look at the Texans. They were 6th most time of possession. So they keep the opposing team off the field. And I think if you can do that, Derrick Henry should see fewer rush attempts. And ultimately, he's going to bank on breaking a big one to get this over, given how tough this Texans rush defense has been. So I know it's crazy. And honestly, even telling you guys bet Derrick Henry can be a little bit, feels like you're just throwing a dart, but I really like the stats here to back this one up. And I really don't think Derrick Henry is going over 91.5 yards. I could look like an idiot, like I said, but hey, you got to get a little spicy in the NFL back in now week 17. In terms of my lean on this game, where would I lean? I kind of lean towards the under at 47.5. I don't know if I'll personally bet this under, but I feel like this is a lower scoring game. These are 2 teams that do have some explosive playmakers in there, but the Texans now down Tank Dell. I mean, we're going to be relying on guys like John Mechie, Xavier Hutchinson. I don't know if I want to really rely on those guys. I think we're leaning on Joe Mixon in the ground game and hoping we can get something going. I know the Ravens are the worst team to run against, but hey, you got to try something somewhere. And at home, their defense has been pretty good. The Texans defense, they've been one of the most elite units at home this season. Now they're dealing with some injuries there on both sides of the football, but I think they're able to make some stops when it matters. And that comes down to stopping the Ravens in the red zone, one of the best red zone defense or offenses in the league. I think they're able to slow them down a little bit there. I think we see some field goals. 47.5 for 2 teams that want to run the football, have some longer drives. I think that's a good spot. If I had to bet the spread, probably lean towards Texans, but it's not my favorite spread lean at all. I don't really have a great lean on the spread here. I would love the Texans to be leading. Hopefully that would lead to less rush attempts for Derrick Henry. That's normally how it goes, but not a great lean on the spread. Other props I looked at, Lamar Jackson, 2 touchdowns is always a solid look. He's hit that in 8 of his last 9. Not a great matchup, though, against the Texans, but I still think he can get that job done. And then if I were to look at any other props, I looked at Nico Collins over in longest reception at 28.5. I know a lot of people are on that. I don't blame you. It's a good play. I have no luck on longest reception props. Negative. There's no chance he gets a 29-yard reception if I'm on it. He'll probably get 4 that are 24 yards, and it'll just piss me off. So I'm not doing that. Instead, my 2 picks, you see them at the bottom of the screen. Pat Freiermuth of the Steelers over in receiving yards, and obviously Derrick Henry's under in rush yards. I'll probably have a video for Thursday's NFL slate. Appreciate you guys for sticking around with me as I am at my parents' home, and hopefully we can go 2-0 on Christmas Day and carry that over into a big week 17. Again, appreciate you guys for tuning in. Have a Merry Christmas. Hope you guys have a great time with your friends and family. I'll be back again for other videos, and if you want to do me a favor and find my favorite NBA picks, which we've been dominating the NBA. We've won money on 8 of the last 9 slates. We have a pick in every single NBA games. 5 total. The video is somewhere linked on the screen. I encourage you to go tap into it. A lot of fun. Show you behind the scenes, a bunch of different websites and things like that. Pretty informational in case you're a stats nerd like myself. Again, go check it out. It's linked on the screen. It's Austin. I'm signing out. Merry Christmas. Let's go 2-0 in the NFL, 5-0 in the NBA, and have a 7-0 day. See you guys in the next one. Peace.